what would you say to someone if they just asked the question, like, I'm trying to lose weight, what's the first thing I need to do?
You don't need to hop on a specific extreme diet, immediately go look for something to spend money on. I think we kind of go, okay, what product can I buy? What gym membership can I get? What can I do to make this happen? Most people that are overweight usually don't eat that much. It's what they're eating.
Right.
Instead, eat a huge meal of healthy food, and now you're going to eat a lot less of the unhealthy options. So you just have to also increase the amount of healthy food.
If you're listening to this podcast and you really want to lose weight and you haven't known what to do,
I think the first thing is...
So for those that don't know, you're would you say fitness coach? Is that a fine way? Personal trainer?
Yeah. Personal trainer is the technical term, but yeah. I like coach. I prefer coach.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, coach. Well, so what got you, has this been a lifelong plan of yours, or when did you get into this?
So, I mean, I've always played sports growing up, soccer. I did, in high school, I did baseball, basketball, wrestling. And as I mentioned to you before we were on here, I've got a brother that's 14 years older than me. So when I was really young, him and my dad would work out in our basement. I'd get my little, workout gloves on, my 5-pound weights. And so there's always, an affinity for it and just getting in shape and stuff. But then I had a friend in high school. His dad was a bodybuilder, and he kind of took us under his wing when we were 16, started teaching us how to work out and stuff. And we got our own equipment. And I just kind of fell in love with it from there. Really started out as want to be better for sports, and then eventually it was like, actually, I like this better than a lot of the sports. So really got into it. And then I don't know, I couldn't tell you exactly when I decided I'm going to be a trainer. I think it was more I found out, it was like the realization came that, I could be a trainer. This is a way I could have a career in this, because I think I just started looking for jobs out of high school, at a gym. I'm like, I just know I'd like to be at a gym. And I'm thinking desk job, something like that. And one of the gyms I applied at, they were like, so do you want to be a trainer? I was like, well, yeah, but I don't have my certification. They're like, oh, that's fine. You can get it, and you can start being a trainer here. And I'm like, what? So it just kind of happened like that. And it was where I ultimately wanted to get.
And how long ago was this?
That was 2015.
Wow.
So it's been a while. But I was already training friends and some family members just casually. I wanted everybody to do it, It was all my friends. We'd go to, I don't know. So you obviously know DJU. Mm-hmm. So we'd go to Bob Jones University Music Festival with our school, and they had the workout facility. And so, I'd get a whole posse of guys, and we'd go over there and work out, and I'm showing them how to work out and stuff. And so I just really always enjoyed it, showing other people how to do it. But yeah, once I became a personal trainer, never stopped. So I've been doing it since.
So when did you were you doing this when you met your wife, or you guys got married? This is all she's known, is you doing this as your job, or have you done other things as well?
So when we met, I was a youth pastor as well at Marymount Community Church in Pontiac, Michigan. Thank you. And I was doing that part-time. It was kind of a, full-time commitment, but part-time pay. And so doing that, and then the personal training in person on the side. I was kind of just on the back end of doing some house flipping stuff with some people as well. So I wasn't really, I was just kind of more the workhorse.
Yeah.
So
you got to start somewhere, though.
Yeah. Well, and
you learned a lot, I'm sure.
Right. And that's kind of how it's worked for a lot of those types of things for me, is you start by just being around the people who are doing what you want to do. So, and then kind of got out of that, though. It just was a lot on top of everything else. So I also, as you know, Clayton was doing the dog sitting. I did get into the dog sitting a little bit too. Clayton got me into it. So I was doing that. That was actually, it was pretty profitable. So
did you help the dogs work out too?
I didn't, but there actually was you could they had all these different like certifications you could get, and that was like a real thing.
No, it's not.
There's like massaging, exercising dogs, like all these like
My dog would love
like
you.
grooming, you know.
She feels
you
so
could get
forgotten
paid
about
more,
right now.
but
Ever since the baby, my dog feels, I think, abandoned.
Oh,
Like,
really?
no, we try to love her, but it's,
you got to
know.
put on Lady and the Tramp for her.
Oh, yeah. Is that the, that's a good point. I never thought about that. We put on, so there's like dog TV on YouTube, which is pretty much just like woodland animals, like squirrels and birds. And
Yep.
we'll put that on when she leaves and we'll come back and she's, you know, like an 80-pound German Shepherd just laying on the couch, just looking at these squirrels and
I'm
just
gonna have
loves
to
it.
see a picture. We have a German Shepherd too. So
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll show you a picture.
we got
in a second.
a German Shepherd and then a hound mix. He's like 3 different hounds, but yeah, that was another little side gig thing. So that I
Dogs.
enjoyed that. It was good, but again, same thing. Like once I was with my wife, that's really sweet. I like his dark face.
Yeah, she's a like
Or
a
she,
two-tone.
sorry. Yeah, that's cool. We've got a long hair German Shepherd.
Oh, couldn't do it with the hair.
Yeah. Well, they actually, so it's actually why we got it. And
Really?
I convinced my wife of this. When I was dog sitting, I watched 2 long-haired German Shepherds, and I was petting them, and I'm like, there's like no hair. What's going on? So I asked them about it. Long-haired German Shepherds don't have an undercoat, so they don't shed like normal short hair do.
Huh.
So they actually shed less than the short hair ones.
Oh, what a
But-
pretty baby.
Yeah, she's really cool.
I had
She's a good dog.
interesting. Shepherds are great.
And they still shed, but not nearly.
Yeah, and
Like-
you know, because like it'll be times when you're like it comes in bulk with Athena. Like she won't
The
shed much.
seasons.
Yeah,
Yep.
and then she's shedding. You know, going into summer,
Mhm.
shedding her winter coat, and it's just like
Glad we don't do that.
just tufts off of her butt of hair. Like you could just like grab it
Yep.
and just pull it.
Yeah. it's just like a chunk.
I'm like, how are you not bald?
Like if that
right
happened to
now?
us, we'd be like, uh-oh.
Yeah. Major. It is funny.
That's
She had a bump on her butt, which I don't know why I'm sharing this, but it is funny. She had a like, and it was so we had to check it out, see if it was cancerous, and basically then it like
Yeah.
one night or one morning we woke up and it just like exploded with like blood and ooze and
Sheesh.
stuff all over our floor, and so it was fine, but they had to shave her down to get the sample, so she had this like big just
Bald spot.
big bald spot right in her, and she looked so stupid. I tell her that every day. I'm like, Athena, you look terrible. I just want you to know that. It's not a good look for you, honey.
That's funny.
I don't think she knew what I was talking about, but
Probably not.
no. Anyway,
Probably
so
good.
so dog walking, that's exciting.
Yeah. So
And
did
then,
that.
How,
Did it
how
all.
many people do you think you've trained at this point?
I don't know. That's actually a good question. I haven't kept track, but
Try to ask good questions.
I don't even know.
I feel like over under. So let's say over under 50,
I would say over 50.
over under 100,
Probably around there. Maybe. I would think. I don't know.
and then
It's so hard to know. So
yeah, walk us through it.
what sticks out in my mind are like clients that I trained for a good amount of time. You know, people who have walked in the door and have done sessions. There's been a ton. You know, I've trained a ton, especially when I was at the gym there was probably I think 5-year period where I was working out or training from a gym. So during that time, they were we had a good system where somebody come sign up. They'd say, hey, you get a free consultation. Here's your trainer. And so I was getting calls constantly for, hey, I got this free consultation. So then that was my opportunity to just show them the equipment, show them how things worked, and try to just see, would you be interested in doing
Is that
some
something that
training?
you've
So,
continued to do now that you're on your own? Is giving people free consultations, or like how? Did you find that helpful, or just a big waste of time? Because
no, it was very helpful. There's definitely a lot of people who they didn't, I'd give them the free consultation, not even like a specific workout. It's like I'd show them like a few exercises, and then they'd be like, all right, I got it from here. They'd come in like week after week doing the same exact exercise. I'm like, oh no. But no, I think overall it was a good system. It worked well for people to get a little glimpse of what it was, see the value. I did have to kind of protect myself in a way of recognizing a lot of people aren't going to do anything with it. So I can't just like invest all my time into somebody who, might not end up. So I had to just shorten it. Like, I'm going to give you a quick overview. this is how stuff works. You can definitely come to me with questions.
Nice.
But it helped in that setting because I didn't feel like I had to get them right then to commit to anything because I knew they're coming back in the doors and I'm going to be here. And if I build this relationship now, show them, hey, I'm here to answer your questions. Next time they're in the gym, they're going to come to me and say, hey, how do you use this thing again? How do you do that? And some people might get, annoyed by that, but I didn't mind it because I'm still helping people. And then I did have plenty of people who would be, I'm actually considering this. And so then we would kind of go from there. So
nice.
I had a lot of, the first gym I was at didn't go so well. I was supposed to be an independent contractor, like self-employed, but they kind of tried to run everything and they just were a little bit
too handsy.
Yes. So the gym I ended up at, sorry.
You're good.
The gym I ended up at, they were definitely way more, you can kind of do it how you want. So I could work with people and I would kind of meet people where they were at.
Nice.
So that worked fairly well and it went well. So COVID closed that gym down and that would have been the same year my wife and I got married, was 2020. So, obviously bad timing. I wasn't doing the dogs anymore. My gym closes down.
Lack of better term, bad timing.
And
not ideal.
Yeah, definitely not ideal. Unlucky.
That's unfortunate. So is that what prompted you to kind of just go on your own?
Yeah, so she had so at the time we thought a really good job, but it ended up, things didn't go so great, but she got another job that's really great. But either way, at the time it was kind of like, well, she's got a pretty flexible job and ultimately the goal would be, obviously for her not have to work as much and for my business to grow. So we discussed it and I had done lots of research already on the idea of like online, lots of research on, just online marketing and website and like all those different things that go through your mind when you start getting the ideas. So that had those wheels had been turning for a while. I actually even, to my shame, gave an online coach, like half my bank account, like when I was probably, I don't know, I was probably only 2 or 3 years into like the in-person training. And so I was already thinking about it at that point, and I kind of bought into one of the, ClickFunnels, go down the funnel, and then I can schedule a call with them and do that. Yeah. It's like my first introduction to that, and so I kind of got. But so yeah, the wheels were always kind of turning with that. I did even do when COVID had hit, I did some just very Excel sheet workout stuff, keeping up with some of my clients that I was training. Obviously didn't know, there was no like real structure to it of how things would run and all that. But so yeah, it kind of provided us the opportunity to go, okay, I can kind of try this, see what happens. And, worst case, there's always, you can always get a job at any point.
Yeah,
so
in this economy, especially. Yeah. So talk to me about, so there's a couple things I wanted to talk about today. Yeah. So in America, obviously obesity is a big issue. We can talk about the why behind that. But also there's so many fad diets. There's so many, obviously I'm a bigger dude. Just funny about me, I have like no fat anywhere else on my body except for my stomach. And it's so stupid. If it was just like spread out, dude, I would look amazing. But I have like no fat on my arms, like none. And it's like my belly's like, blah! Everything's right there. Anyway, pet peeve. But so like, I know that I've gone through cycles of like losing a bunch of weight, well, not recently. I used to, no, but like recently we just maintained the solid state. But what do you think of fad diets? What do you think of, Whole30? What do you think of like those 30-day programs? And then what would you say to someone if they just asked the question, like, I'm trying to lose weight, what's the first thing I need to do? So I guess I asked you 2 questions.
Yeah.
So we can talk about either first.
For sure. So I guess I'll tackle the second question first of what the first thing they need to do is. I think the first thing is you just need to you don't need to hop on a specific like extreme diet or immediately go look for something to spend money on. I think we kind of go, okay, what product can I buy? What gym membership, can I get? What can I do to make this happen? Really, if you haven't been doing anything, just even a couple small things are going to make a difference, but you have to just be consistent with those couple small things. So the first thing I'll do is, with clients at least, is I'll show them, hey, here's the amount of calories you're taking in. Here's what you would need to hit to lose this much or lose that much. So, I'll try to figure out what's a rough goal for you. Okay, here's the calories you'd have to eat each day to get to that point. And so that's just kind of eye-opening to see, because most people just have no clue. I'm a trainer, and I know what a lot of calories are in certain foods, but unless I'm really being conscious about it, at the end of the day, if you ask me how many calories you eat, I might be able to get a close guess, but there's probably days where I could have ate 1,000 more calories than I thought I did. So it's really hard to tell. And so once you know that, I think that's the first step to go, okay, I'm aware of that now, so I'm going to be just a little more conscious of during the day. This thing I'll probably pass on. It's a little higher in calories. So just those small changes. Some people, everybody's a little different, and this will kind of go into the discussion with the fad diets too. But some people need just like, hey, just cut your sugar in half. Like start with that.
Yeah.
Like just everything you eat that has sugar, just cut it in half, or like something like that, where it's just a
broad,
very hard, fast rule.
Guideline.
This is what you need to do. You're going to get results.
Yeah.
But even for people who you could just say like, hey, minimize it, like do less, you're going to get results. Add into that a little bit of exercise of any kind, really. Like just walking.
Yeah.
Hey, walk an extra 10 minutes each day, or start tracking your steps. Get, if you got a smartwatch, look at your steps, see what you average, try to increase it by 1,000. You're going to start seeing results. So little things like that to start are really, it's just getting started is the start, doing anything. And so there does need to be some sort of commitment. It doesn't have to, it's not though, I think we think it's like a product I got to get, or a diet I got to get on, or a specific, what's the solution to weight loss?
Yeah.
Well, the solution to weight loss is move more, and I don't even say eat less. I say eat better, because really most people that are overweight usually don't eat that much. It's what they're eating.
Right.
They're eating foods that are super high calorie. A lot of times they don't even feel that full. They're not like typically just eating till they're stuffed at every single meal all day long. Yeah. Usually they're eating things, they're snacking a lot. Yeah. They're eating things that are just super, super high calorie, don't really fill you up though.
Is calorie the issue, or is it like sugars or saturated fats or carbs? Like, because I know I've heard a lot of different debates on, high calorie is fine as long as it's healthy, like food. So, if you have turkey, chicken, stuff like that, that is a leaner meat, right? Or versus, you could eat something that's 1,000 calories of like potato chips versus 1,000 calories of meat. You're going to be equal in the total calorie amount, right? But one's going to be completely different for your body than the other.
So
does that make sense?
Yeah. So you're not going to eat 1,000 calories of meat. That's the thing.
Right. Okay.
Because when you eat something that is healthier and low calorie, has less sugar, has less, all the things that are what we think of the main problem, you're going to have a very hard time hitting those calories. So at the end of the day, you could still put on weight eating a super clean diet, but you are going to be...
You'd have to eat a ton.
You would have to eat so much. You would be so stuffed.
Right. Because you could eat... How many calories are in like an average just like piece of chicken? Like if you just made an average piece of chicken... If you just had to guess. I mean, I know it's not.
Yeah,
but
I'd probably say, so like if you ate, are you talking like a whole breast? Like
sure. Yeah.
So like if you ate like let's just say like 8 ounces of chicken.
Yeah.
I would say there's probably about, I'm not good at math, but probably like 100 calories.
Okay. And so that's the thing. It's like there's
It's like
100
25
calories
grams of protein
in a very filling piece of chicken.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like 180 calories in a bag of Doritos.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what you're going at right now in a little bit. Is like,
yeah,
you could be full, get protein, 100 calories, and you'd have to eat a butt ton of chicken to get to the caloric amount of just going like 3 bags of Doritos.
Yeah, you'd be stuffed.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the factors. The sugar's bad.
Guys, we broke it. Go ahead.
Is this a first?
Yeah, it's a first, bro. You know,
Yes.
whatever. But the thing is, we can cut it, or we can keep it in as a blooper.
Sometimes those are good too. I'll wait till you get it back on.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I've been fiddling with it a lot this morning. For those that don't know, it is. We started the podcast at 7 a.m. this morning. This is by far the earliest we've ever done a show, and I feel like we're doing pretty good so far.
Yeah.
I feel like people have no idea.
Yeah.
So coffee.
We'll see. You can ask them if they
Free
can
promo.
tell.
The Dylan England Show Broadcast Brew coffee. It will give you the caffeine you need without making your stomach hurt.
Yeah.
It'll
help you do these early morning
podcasts. Yeah.
Or early morning workouts.
Or early morning workouts while listening to an early morning podcast.
Here you go.
That's amazing. Okay, sorry. So calories.
So yes, sugar definitely plays a role. But at the end of the day, it's going to be calories in versus calories out. So you could theoretically put on weight eating fully healthy. You could also lose weight eating complete junk.
Yeah.
But you'd have to be in a calorie deficit. You're going to feel like complete junk, though. So what you put in, you are what you eat, right?
Yeah.
So you're not going to be healthy if you're eating strictly sugar as 70% of your diet.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean you're going to put on weight. It's the calories.
Mm.
Most likely you will, because you're probably going to overeat in calories very easily. And then, add in the activity factor. That plays a big role. So if you're a super active, this is why people go, it's no fair. Like, this person has such good genetics. They can just eat whatever they want and they don't put on weight. Well, they're also in the gym 5 times a week. They're very active.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean they're healthy. If that's their diet and they're not eating a good portion of healthy foods. Now, likely they are. Their regular diet probably is fairly healthy.
Yeah.
And then, they occasionally will have what they want.
I don't know, Ben. I was growing up. I mean, I'm the kind of dude. I do. So, do you think though genetics play a part in your health?
Very little. We were just having a conversation last night, actually. One of my friends.
Let's debate this.
I think it's very little because, I wouldn't say I have great genetics, but I think that they can definitely make it tougher. I think that it can put you, at a disadvantage a little bit. But the reason I kind of put it in quotes is because let's just say if your metabolism is a little slower, your need is also a little less for the calories that you need. And so theoretically, you should be able to eat what your
Explain that.
What your body
so
needs.
if your metabolism is less, your body a slower metabolism, your body needs less food.
Yeah, so your calorie need is based on your age, your height, your weight, and the amount of energy you expend. And if you don't expend much energy in a day, you don't need many calories.
So metabolism, I guess it'd be a good definition to define your metabolism to make sure we're on the same page.
Yeah.
So let's say you exert energy. Let's say you have skinny dude and a fat dude, for whatever, and they both exert the same amount of energy through the day, right?
Yep.
But the skinny person's metabolism is burning food at a faster rate, even if they're exerting the same amount of energy, or they've both exerted the same amount of energy, regardless of how fast their metabolism's moving.
Yeah, so it's the amount of it's the amount of calories that you burn while at rest. You're not moving, you're not doing anything.
Okay.
How much do you burn without doing anything
0
today?
I burn 0.
So
yes, I burn -5.
But the thing is the bigger factor to me than the genetics, because I guess this is kind of where I was going with it, is if we took those two people that one is skinny, one is overweight, their activity level is going to determine that number.
Right.
Not necessarily. And yeah, your weight will once you get there. But how did you get there? So like if we took two people who had started at the same place, theoretically, not babies, but like two adult people who were in the same place and they're both the same weight, same everything, they're going to be very similar. Even if this guy's got way better, genetics naturally than this person, it's not going to be that much different. Like it's not going to play that big of a role. What's going to come down to is how active does this guy decide to be? How active does this guy decide to be? How are they eating? How are they eating?
Yeah.
What things are they eating? Those types of things are going to ultimately really impact sleep. How much sleep are you getting? Those things are going to majorly impact that metabolism.
Yeah.
And so, but you can switch that like that if you add those things into your life. And the same goes like it's often thought that as you age, your metabolism slows down. It's been shown it doesn't really slow that much as you age. It's that you're less active as you age.
Yeah,
and all those
I agree
other
with
factors.
that. I do agree that a lot of people use the fact that maybe genetically they weren't as, growing up, if you were a big kid just naturally and you had the same diet of a kid who had a six-pack, it's kind of a little demoralizing. You're like, we do the same workouts at gym class. We eat about the same thing. My parents eat me, and I'm struggling with weight and you're shredded.
Right.
And I think over time it evens out. Like it comes back to haunt those people that never had to really work for it. But I do think a lot of people like blame their slow metabolism for their weight. And I think that's what you're getting at. It's not, I think we'd both agree some people are genetically put on weight easier than others. Some people, but it's not an excuse to be like, oh, I just have a slow metabolism,
No,
especially if you're not working out, you're not doing anything, you're just sitting there munching on Doritos. It's like, well, actually, it's not your metabolism that's the problem.
Right.
It's the fact that you haven't had chicken in 18 years,
Well, and additionally, think of all the people who were overweight and now are in great shape. Did their metabolism just like flip a switch on its own? No. It got better because of life decisions and the things they chose to do. You can become a fat burning machine even if you never were before.
Yeah. Okay.
And the ways you do that are by doing the correct things, getting proper sleep, exercising, eating protein, getting enough protein in your diet. Protein causes your metabolism to speed up. It also will help you put on muscle. The more muscle you have, the faster your metabolism burns. So all those things play a role. I think it's every pound of muscle that you have burns, I'll have to look it up, but I believe it's like an extra 100 calories or something.
Wow.
Like in your metabolism, like just at
That's
rest.
huge.
So every pound of muscle you put on, it's burning an extra amount of calories.
You put on 10 pounds
it
of
might
muscle.
be more than 1 pound of muscle. That's what it is. I think it might be like every 4 pounds or something. But still like
that's
every bit of muscle. The point is every bit of muscle you put on, you're burning more calories without doing a thing. So, there's ways to increase your metabolism, even if it is slow. So you are at a disadvantage technically if your metabolism's slow. It's going to be harder.
Yeah.
But you don't have an excuse as far as it doesn't mean you just are stuck there. And you can still get to that place. It'd be like somebody who's never ran a marathon before and they don't run at all, being like, well, I can't run a marathon because I'm disadvantaged compared to the guy who runs all the time. It's like, well, sure, because you're not running. But if you get to the point where you take the steps to run and work up to the endurance, you'll be able to do it too. And then it'll be easier as well for you.
Yeah, I think it's a really encouraging way to look at it for a lot of people. I think a lot of people, me included to some degree, like, dude, I've always been a big kid. And then, so I was a huge basketball player. Then in junior high, because like you can get away with kind of being fat in junior high because you're still growing. But then I realized, wait a second, I can't be good at the sport if I'm fat. Like we gotta make some changes. Have you ever heard of P90X? Okay. So in like 10th grade, my parents bought P90X for me for Christmas. That's what I wanted.
Yep.
Right. Did it 90 days straight. 90 days straight. Dropped like 30 pounds. My BMI or my body fat percentage was like 9%, 10, which I think is pretty good.
Yeah, that's very good.
And just athlete, So like there was a time in my life that I'm like, okay, it's possible. And then slowly over time, you become sedentary, you sit a lot for your job, your stress, sleep. And it is funny watching, like, you know, obviously I'm a big dude. The podcast listeners know I'm a big dude. And like looking back on why, you know, why am I a big dude? You're like, well, I'm stressed. You stress eat. You don't sleep good.
Yeah.
You sit a lot. And it's just like the average American, me included, has created this just perfect environment to be unhealthy.
Yeah.
And so, and you know, we're slowly, like I got a buddy, we've been working out the past 3 weeks consistently. And dude, I can't even tell you the feeling, like like what working out consistently does, like 30 minutes of activity a day, lifting, how much better you feel, how less stressed you are. It is incredible, just what you said, just doing something. Because we're working out at minimum, like we're lifting 3 days a week, okay? Yeah. Which is 3 days more than I was lifting beforehand.
Oh, yeah.
So that's
it's a lot.
300% increase. I don't know what the percent, you know, that's
not quite, but yeah.
It's a massive increase of what I was doing previously. Sure. And in the past, I'd be frustrated. I'm like, why should we be working out 7 days a week? I'm like, no, actually, 3 days is a heck of a lot better than 0.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know where I was going with that. But I was
just diminishing return, too. Yeah. Every extra day you add in, it's not like a 300% increase. So 3 days is, honestly, that's like optimal. That's what I put for a lot of people.
Gonna be ripped soon, guys. Just get ready for it.
Yep. Stay
tuned.
Not
gonna know what you. It is funny, dude. I'll watch the podcast and I'll be like, bro, I'm so fat. I am like, I'll look back on it. I'm like, I gotta lose weight. It's the lighting. I know we got to change the camera angle so like the table comes to here. So you have no idea. And, you know,
or we could just hike our pants up so it looks like it.
It's like a dating app, right? When everyone just shows their profile here. Right. You're like, I'm 6'2", 180. And then you show up, you know, you haven't updated your profile in 10 years.
Yeah.
I never did online dating. Did you ever do online dating?
Did
you ever have any like crazy, like people showed up not what you thought it was going to be?
I never actually went on any date. A friend of mine and I, we just, you know.
Did it for fun?
It was just like for fun, but.
I'd love to
never
just
went on any dates.
Troll people. I feel like there's people that have to do it just for fun. Oh, they'll be like,
they're called predators.
You know. That's true. That's not where I was going with this. I'm not trying to do that. I meant more innocently. Yeah, right. You know, I'm like a 6'4" jacked, you know, model, and I just show up like 6'2".
You're like, well, listen, I've lost a little form, but I can get it back.
I still got it.
You know,
yeah,
it's under there.
Yeah, I think it'd be great. Like, that was amazing. That's a podcast highlight. That's amazing.
Just the intro.
Just the intro.
People be like, what is this about?
Dating, fitness, and predators. Got it. Okay, we got it.
Yeah.
So. Okay, I can't remember. Okay, so I guess let's transition into fad diets a little bit. Yeah. So I think that was super helpful in a couple ways. So point number one is it's not a valid excuse to just say I have a slow metabolism. Like that's not a valid thing. You might have a slower metabolism, but could be genetic, but it doesn't have to stay there, and it can always be improved. The more you work out, the more muscle you have. All that, the way you eat, all that stuff will help your body naturally burn fat moving forward.
Yeah,
which is why, to your point, the people that are in shape, it's easier for them to stay in shape because they've created those habits.
Yep.
They've created those eating habits, those working out habits, and then their body starts working with them and for them.
Yep.
And so versus when you eat really unhealthy, your body is kind of working against you in a way, right?
Yeah, it's another illustration would be just in like the like business world. If you're somebody who's just starting out and you're looking at somebody who's got, you know, their money working for them and they've got advertisement, they got the, and it's like it just compounds. Like, oh, well, I'm at a disadvantage because I don't have this or I don't have any money. It's like, well, that person didn't either necessarily when they started out. Yeah, that's a good example. It's not like once you get in shape, it's like, well, I still have a slow metabolism and I'm still, you know, I'm still at a disadvantage. No, it's going to change. Like your advantage changes once you get to that new place. So, so that kind of does play into, though, the whole fad diet thing, because I think, and this goes to one of the issues, and what I try to really help people with isn't just, here's your program, here's your diet, here's what you do. Because I think that almost plays into what some of the issue is that already exists in the industry. I want to try to help equip people and give them information and knowledge that can help them. Everybody might have a slightly different approach to what's going to work for them and what's going to help them. The problem with a fad diet is you're almost misdiagnosing what is getting you results and change. And we all have kind of a common enemy that we almost overlook, and we start to look at all these other things, and then it gets all confusing. So if you're looking to lose weight, one of the things you might start doing to look for a solution is, looking for a fad diet. What diet works? What diet causes? And, my friend, they lost a bunch of weight doing the keto diet. So I'm gonna do that. And then, sure enough, you lose a bunch of weight. And you're like, I feel great. The keto diet's the solution. So you could find that in any of them. You can find that with the vegan diet. You can find that with the carnivore diet. You can find that with Whole30. You can find any one of these diets. Magically, people lose a bunch of weight. They feel a lot better. So for one thing, what we need to recognize is there's a common denominator. When you lose weight, you feel better.
Yeah.
Not necessarily if you eat only meat, or if you eat only vegetables, or if you do keto, or you cut out carbs. You feel better when you lose weight and when you're just healthier. And so getting there can look a bunch of different ways, though. And another thing that is a common denominator is what's being cut out of all those diets. It's not the meat that you're cutting out. It's not the vegetables you're cutting out. If you're doing the carnivore, it's the processed foods. That's the big issue. And that's the big problem. And I think maybe why in the industry these diets catch on so much, and even like it happens with workouts and exercises. It happens with all sorts of different things. Once you're in shape, you could almost forget how you got there, or not even know. A lot of these people just worked out their whole lives, and they exercise and they eat healthy, but they're even misdiagnosing what's getting them the results.
Right.
They could do a workout. They could put a workout up and say, here's, get jacked like me, do this workout. And people think like, oh, that's how they got jacked. No, that workout's not how they got jacked. Like, it's not like it's not going to benefit you maybe to start working out, and you're going to start seeing results. But same thing with like a product or a diet. Hey, do this diet and you're going to get these results. You're going to feel great. But we're misdiagnosing what's actually getting the results. Calorie deficit, cutting out processed foods for the most part. We'll get to that, but, and activity level. And you add those three things in, but a couple reasons that isn't a message that is marketed is because, one, what are you selling at that point?
Right.
You're just giving people the solution. You're just telling them, hey, here's how you actually do it. But two, people don't actually want to hear that. You tell somebody that and they go, oh, cool.
Well, they want a genie in the box. They want
quick
something.
fix.
Yeah, exactly. They want a very this is a drastic lifestyle change. It's kind of like
Yes.
they want a date on the calendar where it's like tomorrow I'm starting. And
Yep.
this is what my eyes really struggle with. It's like, okay, Monday, November 1st is when I'm starting my new diet.
Yep.
And they want it to be like a massive, drastic change versus just a slow change process of just the way they eat and the way they move.
Yeah, and it's okay to do that kind of a thing. And I don't ever tell somebody, if somebody's like, I'm doing keto or I'm not like, well, stop, it's bad for you.
Are there any diets that you're like, you don't like?
Well, I don't like any of them that exclude things fully or that are excessive in things. So the coffee's making me burp. So time and time again, what I've seen to be true is stuff in excess, not good. Even healthy things in excess usually has some negative result, and exclusion of things that are healthy, excluding full food groups, excluding things completely, or even things that aren't healthy. Let's even talk about processed foods for a second, because I said I'd get back to that.
Yeah.
Fully excluding them. If you can do that and you're okay with that, and you're just like, I don't eat processed foods, like, whatever. I'm good with just going the full healthy route. I'm going to do the healthiest possible route.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is, unless that's something you actually really enjoy and it's just like, I love doing this, it might not be the healthiest as far as like overall health. Long-term goal. It might cause some mental instability. It might cause you to create a food eating disorder. A lot of people get food eating disorders from a lot of these types of diets because they're not learning any kind of moderation with a lifestyle that suits them. They're doing something that works for somebody else that's, super passionate about it. And it's almost creating more issues for them. And it's like, oh, it's fixing this thing and it's creating issues over here. And so part of the issue is that, cutting something out fully doesn't necessarily, it might be optimal health.
Yeah.
But is that actually what most people want?
Right.
Sure, it might sound nice, like to think.
Well, then it becomes difficult going to people's homes and eating out, and
social life is really tough.
Yeah.
But even that aside, let's say you're in your own home. Do I eat this or this? Well, let me find out which one's the healthiest. Like every time you're going to do that, like what's the healthiest thing every time? Well, is there anything unhealthy about this? You could find a little thing. Yeah, where do you draw the line? Because you could find a little thing that's unhealthy about everything. Yeah. So now you're getting rid of all, you're not using any kind of sauces. You're not using any kind of additives, nothing. Like you're just like, I'm not flavoring any of my food. And it's funny, I actually did this. It wasn't a bodybuilding competition, but it was a kind of like an unofficial one that a guy held. It was it was called Summer Shredding.
Okay.
Christian Guzman was his name. And
great name.
Yeah, it's a great name. So it was a 90-day competition, and basically it was just try to get as shredded as you could and as good a shape as you could. And so I was like, I'm going like the optimal.
Yeah.
And so I didn't put anything on anything. I ate tuna fish out of a can, dry, like 3 cans a day, every day for 90 days. I was eating dry chicken, dry rice, like everything was just, I'm not doing anything. And I didn't even, I think there was like 20 winners, like 20 places. There was like 26,000 people.
Did you notice a difference?
Oh, yeah. I got a huge change, but it was also a little unhealthy. Like I got obsessive and I became like very body image focused just in those 90 days. Like it took 90 days for me to become overly obsessive about body image.
Yeah.
And what it did now, even to this day, that was like in 2017, I think, I'll look back at photos and be like, oh man, like it looks so good. And so it's like, it's not mentally healthy. And what I had to do to get there, it's like, I'm never going to be able to do that again. Like, I don't even want to. So, so now I'm comparing to that and it's like.
Yeah, I look back for my photos from like 2009. I'm like, 15 years ago, I looked phenomenal. I'm like 18.
So just ask yourself what you were doing then and just start doing that again.
Basketball 6 hours a day.
There you go.
I was seriously like, I don't know. So that's interesting. I think, have you listened to my episode on the carnivore diet? Did you listen to that?
Yep. I agreed with a lot of things. I liked that he was very like, you need to ultimately do what's going to work for you.
Yeah.
He wasn't just like, this is the way.
Yeah. And I think the thing I appreciate about Matt, but also it sounds like there's no specific magic pill out there.
Nope.
But if you can cut down on like eat more healthy than unhealthy, it's kind of like this simple. And it's what my wife and I try to do. It's like, okay, if you're eating out 5 times a week, eat out 3 times a week. You're eating a bunch of stuff that has sugars in it. Try to eliminate them. Maybe instead of having a bun with your burger, have a burger without a bun. Like just those small changes over time can help. Where I've gotten in trouble. So my wife and I did the Whole30 diet. Worst 30 days of my life. I would never recommend it on my worst enemy. Would never do it again. I can't. Like I know we have friends that love it. They keep like doing it every like a detox, which I don't know if that's even a thing. But I remember after the 30 days. So Whole30 diet's like no sugars at all. Like if it says sugar on a package, you can't get it.
Right. No added sugars.
No added sugars. Yeah. No no grains, I think, is in Whole30 actually. Here, let me
I think
Google.
it's all whole foods, if I remember correctly. So I
Yeah,
think
but
you would.
I thought
It might
maybe you could.
exclude. I would think it would be
Whole30
simple,
rules.
any simple carbs, but I would think whole grains would probably be fine.
Okay, here you go. So no added sugars, real or artificial. No alcohol, no grains. This includes wheat, rye, barley, oats, corn, rice, millet, bulgur. Okay, yeah.
Okay,
So
that's
so
it's not the whole foods diet.
no,
it's different.
Yeah, no beans, no dairy, no sulfates or carrageenan. I don't know what that is. No baked goods, no junk food, no step on scale.
So now you're looking at the label for things you don't even know what they mean or even what it is.
So if you
and you're
can't
like,
pronounce
can't eat it.
yeah, if you can't pronounce it, you can't have it.
Right.
And so we did this, and then we were done, and we celebrated with a pizza.
Yep.
And we both almost threw up.
Yep.
Because it'd been 30 days since we've had anything that was in a pizza.
Yeah.
And I remember telling Anna, I don't ever want to be to the place again where I can't enjoy a pizza without throwing up.
Yep.
Like, and it sounds super fat to say that, but it's just also like, at some level, I want to find the balance between enjoying my life and being in the best shape possible.
Yeah.
And getting to the point where I throw up if I eat a slice of pizza is not how I want to live my life.
Well, and that's what a lot of people don't understand with some of these diets when they go into them, is that it's like a lifelong commitment. Some of them, if you really don't want any negative results from it, and that's where it's like, oh, that kind of gets your wheels turning. Keto diet. If you're just like, I'm just going to do this for a while, but I'm not really like committed to it, like some of these people who are extreme. The issue is when you go back to adding carbs into your diet, you can actually develop issues because you can get diabetes because your body is like, your pancreas hasn't been processing glucose this whole time. And so all of a sudden your body's like, what's going on? And so, there's negative potential effects anytime, again, you do extremes. And one of the negative effects of extremes, even if it's a workout thing where it's like, I'm doing this extreme workout, P90X, something like that, right?
Yeah.
I did it when I was young. I thought it was fun, whatever. But I was also pretty active. Sounds like at that age, you were still fairly active.
Very active.
If you're somebody who's just starting out, part of the problem with a lot of these diets, a lot of these workout plans, we'll use the marathon. I use this one a lot because I think for some reason it clicks easier for us. Mm-hmm. If the marathon runner is creating a program for somebody to, hey, here's how you train for a marathon, they're writing it for, you got to decide, is this program written for somebody who's just starting out?
Yeah.
Or is it written for somebody who's where they're at? Because if you're trying to jump into, an extreme diet or an extreme workout program and you've done nothing, you're going to get big results, but you're also going to not probably be able to maintain it. And what happens when you go back to what's normal for you? Even if you go back to not as bad, like, hey, I'm not going to do as bad as I was, you're still going to put stuff back on. You're still going to undo a lot of the effects because you went so extreme. And I was going to say something with that. So if you already, like for me, let's just say, I've been exercising, my whole life basically. So for me, if I want to drop down, some extra fat or something, and I want to maintain my muscle, or if I want to put on muscle, let's say, I am going to have to do a more extreme version.
Sure.
Because my body's adapted. It's used to these things. You don't have to do that much when you start out. So why? It's like people want something extreme because for some reason it's hard to just almost, I don't know if it's hard to believe that just a small
change.
It's
not worth it unless you, it's like, I need to be all in. I need to be massive life change, massive schedule change, or it's not going to work.
Right. But it's ironic because you actually hurt your I wrote an article, I forget what it's titled, but I can look it up. But you actually hurt your long-term results when you do extreme fast. So like, let's just say you lose, you do a 30-day challenge and you just lose a ton of weight right away. Your metabolism actually slows and you don't continue to get that same return on weight loss over time.
Interesting.
Like you'll start losing less weight as time goes on. And so by the end, let's just say you have a weight goal.
Yeah.
How long it's going to take you to get there if you lose a ton of weight up front is going to take a lot longer than if you just go, I'm just losing, a pound a week.
Wow.
Or something like that. You'll just consistently lose a pound a week. And you'll get to your goal, and it might take 6 months versus it might take 10 months when you do this huge amount up front, because then you have to keep going more extreme. And there's a diminishing return that happens. So it ends up taking longer to get results when you start out so extreme.
It's almost like a train. A train slowly gets going, and if you conserve coal in the train and it gets faster. But if you try to get the train going as fast as possible, you're going to run out of fuel at some point. The train's going to slow down, quicker. But if you allow the momentum to slowly take over, your body will slowly get used to where you're going and start supporting you.
It's the adaptation. And so it's the same thing with working out. If you go into the gym tomorrow and you're just like doing somebody's program who's been working out for 6 years, your body, you're going to get some quick results, but your body's going to adapt quickly to what you're doing, and you're actually going to hurt your chances of more results. Whereas if you just slowly increase 1 pound at a time, hey, I can move up now next week, and I can slowly move up. You're going to just keep increasing, and you're going to see more growth, more change in a shorter period of time than if you just go in headfirst extreme.
One of the things that's really interesting, I think it's encouraging to me and a lot of people, it's the allow yourself time to be consistent. You don't need to see the results in 2 weeks or even a month. Have yourself like a year goal and be slowly consistent, and then have checkpoints right throughout that year and just kind of see how you're doing. One thing that I think is an interesting topic of conversation is the American, I guess, what's allowed in our food.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I get weirded out when the FDA allows things that are banned in like third world countries. Right. What is your, we can get conspiracy theory if you want. Why do you know why there's so much crap in our food? Like, what's your personal, like, is it solely not like just monetary? They're just trying to, that's your feeling?
Oh, yeah. I think so. Processed foods didn't really come on the scene big until after, I think it was World War II. They had like the canned foods and stuff for the soldiers. And so right after all that, it became like a marketing tool. Like, it was like a cool thing almost. And so start marketing this processed foods to people. And it's convenient. And
like
it's easy.
Spam or whatever back then. Yeah.
And so, did they know it was unhealthy? Probably. I would assume so. So they're marketing it though, but they're not telling. It's like cigarettes or a lot of these other things, right? Okay, come on. They knew it was unhealthy, but they're trying to make a buck. They're trying to make money. Other people weren't privy to it yet, so we can get away with it right now. So that makes some money. In turn, America becomes obese and extremely unhealthy, which look at what that does for healthcare.
Yep.
Right? Look what it does for supplement company, fitness industry.
Right.
The amount of money that comes from people being unhealthy is, the fitness industry alone, it's like $30 billion industry or something like that. It's insane. So
there's a study, I can't remember, I'll try to find it, but basically it was the whole, like, the premise of doctors don't want you to be healthy. Like pharmaceutical companies cannot stand healthy people. So if you can create a world where you have unhealthy people, you're going to make money forever.
Yeah.
And it sometimes feels like we are just living as like rats in this lab.
Yeah.
And it's sad, like, it's like why it's so expensive to buy organic food. And then even organic food isn't really organic food. And like sometimes they'll slap a label on it, and it's just they just increase
still
the price.
Processed, just not
as processed.
Highly processed. Yeah. Well, and another thing, I guess what I was going to say is I'm not necessarily about the government saying like this can't be in foods
Mm-hmm.
or this, regulating everything. I don't want necessarily more regulation personally, but I think it should be very clear knowledge and information
Like
to
what's
people.
in the food, right?
Yeah, people should know. Like, it's your choice if you want to go, put
Yeah.
something terrible in your body.
Right.
But I think where it's hard is we grew up putting terrible things in our body, not knowing, and now we're addicted to it, even if we don't want to admit it or say that.
Yeah.
And that's a lot. Like, it's not fair if you're given heroin and you're told it's really, this is great.
Good
Try
for you.
it. Now you're addicted
or it's
to
like
it.
back when cocaine was in Coke.
Yeah, right. And
Yeah.
now you're addicted to it, and now you're finding out it's unhealthy. And you're like, are you serious? Like, I'm already like,
I think it's also
how am I
just the
supposed to change my
monopoly.
lifestyle?
The monopoly of the food industry. Like, you used to be
Oh,
able to
yeah.
go to your local butcher shop and get fresh, like, meat that they literally slaughtered that morning, you
Right.
know? And now, because of the monopoly on the food industry, like, you can't, it's not price, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not feasible for the average person to buy food like that. It's not even available half the time to buy food just locally from a butcher shop. Because to me, that's one of the biggest issues is the monopoly of the food industry, is the Walmart.
Yeah.
Like, is the Walmart to the world. Like, it used to be, hey, your local butcher has food from the farmer that he sent pigs over in the morning, and now you have fresh meat. Now it's like, that's the most unheard of thing, like, for the average person. Now go to Walmart and get processed lunch meat, and that's your
And
meat.
part of the problem is we're such consumers. And so, and there's even conspiracy theories on that. I don't even know that you call it conspiracy theories, but there's like literature showing conversations of, if we can basically turn people into consumers, like right there, you've got, look at all the money. And so we're consumers, we're instant gratification, we're all these things. And so the problem partly is there wouldn't even be your local butcher wouldn't even be able to keep up.
Right.
And people now, it's like they want to just get an app and like have their groceries delivered to them even. And so the convenience factor, the amount that we consume, it's like, that's why, the vegans who are against all the farming and the way it happens, and I am too. Like, I don't like it when animals are just packed all in, jam-packed, and processed the way they are.
I don't think anyone feels good about that.
No, nobody feels good about that. But the reason that exists is partly because of us as the consumers, that we consume so much. It's just like, and we're so wasteful too with a lot. And so I think, the way you can help isn't necessarily, well, I don't eat meat anymore, or I don't do this, but you can be less wasteful. You can, if you are being a little healthier, that's going to help in ways too. But I think that, they definitely want, they want us to continue to consume the way we do. They want we're almost like, I don't want to say formed in a way, but it's like we're being formed.
Well, I think, it's a interesting conversation to have on the obesity in America and why it's so like astronomically more than any other country.
Oh, yeah.
Like, to the point that it's weird. It's not even that it's like, like, oh, we're a little fatter. It's like the whole world looks at America as like fat people. Like, everyone does.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's weird to me,
Mm-hmm.
at least for me to go, okay, now, is it culture? Is it the fact that there's a lot more sitting? Yes, all that stuff. But that's true in European countries too. Like, they sit at jobs, but they also don't have the culture of eating as much as we do. And like, my wife went to Italy, France. Went to France or Italy? I don't remember. I think France. Anyway, but she was like mentioning how much like pastries and stuff they ate there, but everyone was skinny.
Yeah.
And it was, I think, solely just on what's in the pastries. Like, even there, it seems like it's not as processed and stuff here. But this is a podcast. We need to do a podcast on like this, because it seems to me that if you can create unhealthy people, you create a monopoly, and you just create customers. Like, you literally just create customers for insulin. You create customers for supplements. Drugs, and then like the weight loss drugs are huge right now.
Mm-hmm.
So pharma is like all over this thing, man.
It's like we always think of it, and I think people are very quick to think of it with like sickness, like COVID or something like that. Oh, they create a disease so they can sell you a vaccine. It's like the
which I don't disagree.
It's like a lot of movies and stuff,
Which I don't disagree. No, I was kidding.
Yeah. Right. I Am Legend or whatever.
Yeah, right. Oh,
so
worst part of that movie is when the dog died. Just I can't do it.
So sad, Sam.
Yes.
So anyway, though, we think of it with that stuff, but that's exactly what I think is going on in the health industry. It's we make you fat and then we give you the solution. But why aren't they giving you the actual solution?
Yeah.
Why aren't they just teaching you how to be, again, it's like
Working
going back
out.
to the original thing. Because it's where it frustrates me more is it's like I know it happens in the health industry where the solution they're giving you isn't, hey, go exercise, because
it's a Band-Aid. It's a Band-Aid.
Yeah, they want the money and all the other negative side effects that come with it. But where it frustrates me more is that the fitness industry has now adopted that model. But it's through this fad diet, this supplement, this whatever. And not all those things are in and of themselves always bad. Yeah. But it's not, it's you're almost lying about what the solution is. Or at best, you're not even really clear on what the solution is. It's almost like you're saying
the solution requires you to spend money, which is not the case.
No. If it helps a little bit, if it gives you a little extra accountability or whatever, like great. But I did a video, it was just like a short, it wasn't like a whole thing, but I think I just used the illustration of it'd be like if somebody went on a diet, like a new diet. I said I could create a new diet that only yellow food, only eat yellow food. And then somebody's like, oh, okay, I can only eat yellow food. And they do it. But if it cuts out processed food in the process,
it'll work.
You cut out processed food and only eat yellow food.
Yeah.
They're going to lose a lot of weight. But what are they going to go tell their friend?
It was the yellow food.
I ate yellow food, and that's how I. And that's where the issue lies. Is people don't even know what got them the results really, and then they start telling this person and that person, and so now all of a sudden you've got all these fad diets, all these different things. People are making a lot of money.
Yeah,
and the people who are doing the diets are either not going to do that for the rest of their life,
right,
and then they're going to bounce right back because they didn't learn how to actually get results. Yeah, the why behind why they got the results. So they didn't learn how to actually maintain those without doing whatever this person sold me. So now I'm stuck.
Yeah.
I either got to come back to you again and give you more money.
That's what they want.
Or I just don't get the results.
Yeah. I think one of my biggest frustrations right now, so yours is with the fitness industries, mine is with doctors themselves when it comes to weight loss and when it comes to just even depression. I think so. I'm not going to pretend that I know why everyone's quote unquote all depressed now, but like we are living in a world where there are more Americans that identify as depressed than ever in the history of the world, right? Which coincides with social media, technology, and lack of exercise.
Yeah.
And so, I went to the doctor when I was having some health issues. And I was explaining, hey, this is what's going on, doc. Like I'm gagging a lot, like I'm like pretty much like dry heaving like 50 times a day. Like it was it was really bad. And he's like, are you stressed? I'm like, well, I own 2 businesses. I own 2 insurance agencies. He's like, yeah, I'm a little stressed, And he's like, well, I can give you some stress relief pills.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I didn't go to the doctor because I was like, that wasn't even like remotely why.
He was looking for something.
He was literally being like, hey, are you stressed? Which again, stress can cause acid reflux. Stress can cause health issues. But and then there was a couple, and he's like, and I can give you a pill for the nausea, and I can give you a pill for this. And I literally look at him, and I was just like, doc, I want you to fix me. Like, what's wrong with me?
Right.
I'm not taking any of your like medications. Mm-hmm. And I remember leaving there, and I'm like, dude, this is why so many Americans are on antidepressants. It's like they literally go to the doctor because they're not working out, they're eating like crap, they're sleeping like crap, they're on their phone 24/7 scrolling through mindless shorts, so they're miserable. Mm-hmm. And really all a doctor needs to tell them is, are you exercising?
Right.
Are you sleeping well? Are you eating well? Mm-hmm. I bet, and this is not to be insensitive to anyone who's really going through dark valleys right now. That's not the goal, but it wouldn't shock me coming from a very novice, person in this field, if over 50% of quote unquote people on antidepressants, if they just subscribe to healthy, active living, less screen times, less social media, that their depression would magically go away. And and again, I'm not blanket statementing that, because I understand there's people that really struggle.
Right.
But I'm like, dude, those drugs can be very damaging and long-term addicting. Yeah. That I would love for the pharmaceutical and the doctor field to say, hey, we start you on this program first. This. You do all these things. Okay, fine. Here's this after you've done this for 6 months or whatever. Yeah. But that's not what's happening. Right. And I think that's the scary part about, like, it makes me not, and I'm not even a conspiracy, like, I'm not even like a, but it's made me, the older I've gotten, not trust any doctor because of how quick they are to just prescribe something.
And it's what they know. Yeah, it's what they know to do. It's what they've been taught to do. So you can't prescribe something that you haven't been taught or told to prescribe. Yeah. And so they're doing what they believe is, they're supposed to do, and what's supposed to help.
Anxiety equals this medication. Right. Weight loss equals this medication. Right.
And there are doctors who will, tell you otherwise too. They're not as quick to do that. But yeah, I think your best bet is to go to a nutritionist first. If you're having some of those different, things that you even mentioned, like the acid reflux, the this or that, leaky gut, whatever it is, it's like a lot of those things come from a lot of the foods. Yeah. And that's why, again, when people go on some of these diets, those things magically kind of seem to go away. But it's common denominator isn't the specific diets, the processed foods. It's the calorie intake and the exercise. But it's interesting you kind of bring up that point going into kind of the depression stuff, because I will say, and I don't say this to like discourage anybody, but there is a danger on the flip side if you have unhealthy tendencies and it depends on why you're depressed and what is kind of causing that. If it's truly just like there's something chemical, imbalance going on, and then definitely exercise, nutrition, that stuff could help. If it's something like I'm searching for purpose and meaning, right. You're not going to find that through a body or through looking a certain way or feeling a certain way. And so there is that danger too. And you kind of have to identify, why am I in this place? Because if it is just, I don't know what's going on. Like I just, something seems off where it's like I get seasonal depression or it's a chemical imbalance or something like that. I think there's definitely, solutions to be had. If it's like, I feel purposeless, you might need to find Jesus. And that'll fix the problem. Right. But you're not going to fix that through, you're going to go the other extreme of now you're going to become obsessive compulsive. Yeah. You're going to have body dysmorphia. You're going to have an eating disorder. Yeah. Because you're trying to find purpose and meaning through exercising, through eating a certain way. And sometimes those people become the most obsessive and to an unhealthy point. And so that's where health too, kind of switching over a little. Yeah. It has different meanings. It doesn't, and that's why, I kind of say, I mentioned optimal health. Yeah. The reality is we're all going to die. Right. Everybody's going to die. We could die tomorrow. Your ultimate goal can't be, I'm going to have the best diet and exercise, to the optimal amount to where I can be this optimal specimen that lives forever. It's not going to work. Yeah. It's not going to happen. And there's people that I've known that some of the healthiest people, they get cancer. They get something else that, a tumor or a brain aneurysm. And so we can't control those things. I think you can do your best to, yes, if you're clearly excessive, it's probably going to result in, issues at some point. Right. But, you still have to live life. Yeah. You still have to, we're not just like trying to preserve ourselves. We shouldn't drive cars ultimately. If we're really worried about self-preservation, you probably shouldn't get behind a wheel. Yep. So, you have to ask yourself, what's my real goal here? What am I trying to actually achieve? Because those types of things people don't always think about. And so then when you start on a diet or you start on a workout, if you haven't figured out your why and what it's about, it could be one, you could just not stick with whatever it is you're trying to do because it might not match up.
Yeah.
If you're doing some obsessive person's diet plan and you're not like that worried about it, it's like, I just want to be a little healthier.
Yeah.
You're not going to stick with that. That's not going to work for you.
Right.
If you're, on the other hand, way more on the, I want to be super healthy and really extreme. You're going to have the same issue if you're trying to do some more, I call it flexible dieting.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't call it that. It's like what it's called. So if you're trying to do more of a flexible style, I personally think it's usually the best option for people is let's find a flexible style that works for you.
It's maintainable.
Yeah. A little bit of nothing's better than a whole lot or a little bit of something's better than a whole lot of nothing. So if we can find a little bit better than where you're at now, great. And that's going to help you take the next step. And then when you get there, if you're like, hey, you know what? I want to do a little more. Add a little more. Yeah. But to just right off the bat, jump into something, that you haven't even really thought through what you're trying to actually achieve and what you want your lifestyle to look like and, figuring out the long game, then you're just you're going to do this a lot. Yeah. You're going to really yo-yo and go up and down and up and down. So you got to make the long-term goal first. What do I want my life to look like? Yeah. And then you work your way back. And
even like, why do I want to lose weight? Like, what is it? Because I don't feel good?
Right.
Is it because I want to be here for my children?
Right.
Is it like what's the purpose? Is it really just as vain or simple as I want to look good for other people? Well, there's probably a deeper meaning. There's probably even something else that there's a reason why you want to look way past that.
Right.
But even if that's it might be good to, whatever. I just look at the time is 8:40.
Well, I was actually got to bounce soon, but I was going to really quick, just when we talked about that, it made me think of one of the blog posts I wrote. I'm trying to remember the name of it.
As you look, Ben, I got somebody don't mind me sharing. Ben's wife is pregnant. Mm-hmm. So Ben has to go to an appointment with her soon. So we have like 5 to 6 minutes. Did you find the blog post?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It's called Changing Your Mind About Health, No Motivation Needed. And it talks a lot about, I talk a lot about the why and figuring that out. Because if the reason I say no motivation needed, motivation is, it's going to come and go. One morning you wake up, you feel great. You don't the next. Yeah. Your why of why you're doing it, if you haven't really thought through, if you're just trying to lose weight, or it's just simply body image or whatever else, that might not last for you. But if you're really recognizing the impact it's going to have on other areas, like you mentioned exercising 3 times a week, makes me feel so much better. It helps me be productive in other areas. Right. You think about your kids, your potential grandkids down the road, things like that. That stuff can really help you have the discipline and stick with those things and really think through, okay, what's a good path for me that's going to be a long-term path where I can just have a healthy lifestyle, not just, lose a bunch of weight real fast and then put it back on.
Yeah. Well, we'll include the link. If you send that to me, we'll include the link to the blog post in the description so people want to read it, they can check it out. I think for me, this is honestly awesome. We could probably talk for another couple hours.
For sure.
The takeaway for me is a couple things. But number one, it's as simple as, why do you want to lose weight? Start there. Mm-hmm. But then also, something's better than nothing. If you're listening to this podcast and you really want to lose weight and you haven't known what to do, go for a walk.
Yep.
Eat maybe a little less sugar. Eat maybe a little less food. But like,
and eat more healthy food. Like not just because people oftentimes think it's about eating less food. Usually you're actually probably not eating enough food. It's that you're not eating enough of the healthy food so you don't feel full. So then you snack because you're like, I'm hungry. What do I want? I'll just munch on this. So if you go, I'm going to eat a huge healthy meal. Yeah. And I'm just going to eat as much of it as I can. Or when the healthy option's available, eat as much as you can. If you know pizza's going to happen tonight, a lot of people will go, I'm storing up my calories, and they don't eat anything all day. But then you overeat the pizza. So instead, eat a huge meal of healthy food, and now you're going to eat a lot less of the unhealthy options. So you just have to also increase the amount of healthy food.
And if you're listening to this podcast and you want coaching because you're not sure exactly what you should be eating, shouldn't be eating. Ben is definitely someone I'd recommend. Ben owns a case-by-case, right?
Case-by-case training. Yep.
He can do virtual trainings. He can do in-person trainings. Definitely check him out. Ben's socials and information will be in the description of the video. If you want to give him a text, a call, check him out. If you are wanting take the next step in your fitness journey, I think you heard today, Ben knows his stuff. Ben's passionate about finding something that would work right for you guys. And honestly, I think that the average person that can afford it, that has a little bit extra, again, you don't have to spend money, but Ben would be honest with you to say, hey, like, this would be really helpful if you worked with me, or I think you can do it on your own. Yeah. Ben will do that 100%. I'm assuming free of charge for that conversation. Yeah. To check it out.
And I'll just mention too, I try to, if people don't, if they know themselves and they're like, I don't want, to just do coaching the rest of my life. Like, I try to help people, get to the point where they can be independent. So my goal is to help you understand what you need to do to continue on your own. So there's plenty of people who are like, I just like having a coach. I'll always have a coach. Yeah. And that's great. They've trained with a trainer for 20 years. That's just what they want to do. That's fine. And those are great, obviously. But that's not, my goal isn't how can I keep them? What can I do to keep this person coming back to me? I'm trying to help people see, oh, here's the actual solution of what I need to do to continue getting results. And then, you can take it from there. So
perfect. Well, Ben, I appreciate you coming on this show. This was a blast. I know it was super early and we made it happen. Thank you for the driving. You drove like 45 minutes at like 6 a.m. to be here. So I'm sure the listeners are thankful that you came.
Thanks for the coffee.
You're welcome for the coffee. Speaking of coffee, if you want to check it out, the link will be in the description. It supports the show. It supports the local coffee roaster, Cool Beans Coffee. Thank you guys for listening to the show. If you haven't yet, subscribe. Also, go check out Ben's socials. Follow him there. He posts a lot of different motivational content, good content, as well as just like keeping track of what he's doing. Ben also is an avid hunter. We didn't talk about that too. He has a cool hunting channel, which I will also include in the description if you guys want to check that out. I'm sure you didn't mind that promo for that as well. But thank you guys for listening to this episode of the Dylan England Show. We will see you on the next one, and we appreciate you guys. Thanks.